At the end of the day, this whole thing, it's all about God. I know that God wins. God's going to win every one of these final battles. Every night when we're laying in bed, I do this. We're entering the golden age. Your expectations are too low. He said, good morning, everybody. I am glad to have all of my followers or interested parties with us today. More golden nuggets for free. 2 podcasts ago, I gave you guys and girls the 60,000 foot umbrella view of the military sting operation that's been going on. In the last podcast, I gave you guys some insight into why did it have to be the military that executed the sting operation. All know now they had to use the military because of the fact that we had a captured government. There was no other way to do it except by the military, because dead duck can't bring itself back to life. And so because of the fact that they weren't functioning constitutionally, the military had to step in, heal our nation. There were a couple thoughts that came up after the fact, after I did that podcast, that I kind of wanted to share with you. I wanted to make sure that everybody understands that when it comes to law, the basis of law and all those different types of things in international law, there's 3 things I want you to understand, and it'll help give you perspective on how these people captured the world. Everybody needs to understand that there's 3 sovereign lands across the world that do not fall under the jurisdiction of any country. The first sovereign land is the Vatican, which is, I don't know, some small plot of land, maybe 1 square mile or whatever, in Italy. The Vatican, they're sovereign. They don't answer to anybody except for everybody is always subject to international law, and the Vatican is subject to international law, but the Vatican, that land is sovereign. And so the satanic rituals that go on within the Vatican and the child sacrifices and all those types of things that they do at the Vatican, they can do them because of the fact that there's nobody who they thought was finding out about it, because that would be an international law transgression. But nevertheless, the Vatican is a sovereign land. Washington, D.C. is a sovereign land, which, if you think about it, is that why is our government doing business and making laws and legislation on a piece of property that is sovereign, that we don't even own? And more on that later, because I think that Washington, D.C. may not be our capital when this is over. And then there is the city of London. Within the city, London, England, and I think that's 1 square mile. And in the city of London, that's where all the banksters live, okay? Again, sovereign land, untouchable vis-a-vis, common law. I call these 3 places, the dark corners of the earth, because horrendous satanic things happen in these 3 places every single day because of the fact that they're sovereign territories and these people literally get away with murder. So I add that to my last podcast just to give you perspective so that you understand from a perspective of law and the government getting captured, how do these things work, and how are people accountable to military law, common law, or sovereign territory law? All right, so having said that, I want to just start to talk about some of the events that I'm under the understanding are coming that we're going to see as the results of this military sting operation come into the light and the purview for public consumption. Number 1, essentially what we're going to be watching over the next 12 weeks is the final battle between the good guys and the bad guys, the New World Order, the globalist, the deep state, the swamp, the world controllers, the Illuminati, the world enslavers. We're getting ready to see and witness the final battle. If you could take a minute and just imagine with me, we're taking down the military is taking down the monetary system. The monetary system is the central banks. It's the debt currency. It's the garbage, worthless fiat money that they've led us to believe had value. That central banking system, it's being terminated. When you think about the fact that every single penny, every single dollar of quote unquote currency, it's caught up in that central banking system. So the militaries had to create a system, a financial system, to replace the corrupt financial system that's been in place and gotten worse every year since its inception. In the United States, it was 1913 that they put in the quote-unquote Federal Reserve Bank. Not federal, no reserves, and not a bank, just a Ponzi scheme. So the stock market is going to crash because of the fact that the currency has to crash. So for all these people whose God, whose trust, whose entire life was caught up, insured that the stock market was their nest egg, was going to take care of them for the rest of their life. What happens to the psyche of those people when they think that they have $3 million of stock, right? And we have an event that makes 1929 look like Mickey Mouse Parade. And they literally have to deal with the fact that their entire retirement just evaporated, poof, just like that, went up in smoke instantaneously when this financial collapse happens. I think it'd be reasonable to assume that a person who would put their trust in assurance and insurance into their money and their retirement and blah, 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 blah. I would think that would be a perfect come to Jesus moment. And it's going to be a come to Jesus moment because at the end of the day, this whole thing, it's all about God. This is not the military's operation per se, although the military is carrying out the natural realm implications of the sting operation. This is a battle between good and bad. This is God giving certain human beings the ability to handle the final battle between the powers and the principalities in high places and utterly take them down and destroy them. So let's get back to the idea that there's a come to Jesus moment coming, and it's not just going to be the financial crash. There's going to be wars and rumors of wars, and there's going to be a serious threat of international nuclear Armageddon. Because you're listening to the Dream Life podcast, you're going to be able to handle that situation because of the fact that I know that God wins. God's going to win every one of these final battles. God's going to take care of the financial battle. God's going to take care of every single solitary battle, every single solitary sting operation item. This is God's operation. There's only going to be a very select few number of people who understand the events of what's coming and what has actually been happening for the past 7.5 years if you're picking up the golden nuggets that I'm putting down for you. So we can expect a monetary crash. The dollar's going to crash. All currencies are going to crash because they're worthless. The stock market's going to crash because the money's worthless, and the stock market is based upon the money system. But there's still value. There's still value in the stock market companies because of the fact that the companies, they produce things, they have real estate, they can still stay in business after this is over. They can bounce back because there's substance to what they have, not completely the opposite of currency, fiat currency, which it's going to go away. And you're literally 6 months from now, we're going to be starting campfires with $100 bills because we're going to have new $100 bills from real money, real credit currency. I'm going to be the first one in my family to start a campfire with $100 bills. I can't wait for that. So what other events are coming? Because this is God's operation, I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. Is the fact that people, and I'm not separating myself out from this, everybody needs to repent, fall on their face before God, and just repent. And we need to get our acts together because the world is going to hell in a handbasket. For those of us who are trying to do the right thing, we're paddling upstream in a downstream world, okay? The world's been going downstream ever since the beginning. It's coming to an end where the waters are going to start to flow upstream again because of the fact that people are going to fall on their face before God. Once God reveals his plan and people see it executed, well, the fear of God is going to rush into people's hearts in a hurry when they see that. If you're following along on the fact that this is a spiritual war that's coming to fruition, and It's a final spiritual battle. But because of the fact that it overlaps in the natural world, that's why the military is involved. And that's the military. The military has to take out the physical people who are bringing the satanic agenda into the world and enforcing the satanic agenda in the world, because they're physically in this world and because they're physically stuffing this down the throats of people of the earth. God had to use the military to take them out. And after that, it's going to be up to us to keep them out. But nevertheless, Trump said in his Republican National Convention speech, he said that we are going to be entering into the golden age. And he also said that our expectations are too low. And he said, you need to raise your expectations. And every night when we're laying in bed, I do this. My wife looks over at me. She says, what are you doing? I said, I'm raising my expectations. So together, we need to raise our expectations of what does this golden age look like? This age, a gift from God, given to mankind, taking the Satanists out of the equation and out of the way. What does that life look like? I don't know exactly, but I know it's glorious because I've experienced so many of God's great gifts and things that he's given me in my life. It's going to be that supercharged and like something that we can't even imagine. Because think of the fact that the world enslavers, the world banksters, they can't steal from humanity any longer. The struggle to make a living is not going to be there anymore. Okay. And that's the root of all evil right there, is the fact that, you know what I'm saying, you got to kill yourself to make a living. You know, you feel like a miserable corpse when you're going through that process. It's not easy. So the Bible also talks about the fact that in the end times, and when I say end times, my definition and my perspective of the end times has changed. It's the end times for them. It's not the end times for us. It's the end times for their way of life, of them being the slave owners. That's what's coming to an end. It's the end times for the Illuminati, for the swamp, for the banksters and the gangsters and the drugsters and all their way of life. It's gone forever. So the Bible also talks about the fact that people's love will grow cold one for another. Parent will be pitted against child, husband against wife, brother against brother, sister against sister, all these different things that the Bible talks about. We're seeing it happening in real time. Look at how hard it is to drag a smile out of just somebody on the street. You know what I'm saying? People are literally cold, miserable SOBs because of the shit show that's going on right now across the earth. So the struggles, all these ugly satanic things that have been forced upon the earth and have been driving humanity into the gutter, those things are going to be gone and they're going to be out of our way. So what does that golden age look like after we go through the storm? And it's going to get ugly, and it's going to be a shitstorm. What does it look like on the other side? It's going to be glorious. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but all I know, it's going to be glorious, and we can prepare ourselves for that. We can use that as we're going through the storm, and we see the threat of world nuclear war, and we see the dollar crashing, and we see the stock market and every crashing, and everybody thinks that their life is coming to an end. That, my friends, is what they call the Great Awakening. That is meant to wake people up and smell the coffee. So you can prepare yourself, you can prepare your mind, you can prepare your heart, you can prepare your family to experience a true come to Jesus moment. And it's funny because I just happened to be working on a project with a local church who's looking at, building a large church to seat like 1,000 to 1,500 people. And I not kiddingly said, the day that the building's built, it's only going to be 50% of what you need. And of course they looked at me cross-eyed like, what do you mean? And I said, you have no idea what's coming. You have no idea what's coming. They're going to have to take the doors off the churches after this is done, because of the fact that people are going to fall on their face before God and repent. And part and parcel to what Dream Life Podcast has been about from the beginning is helping people prepare to win, helping people prepare to be prosperous, preparing people to get ready to be successful, get ready to be happy, get ready to win, get ready to be smart, get educated. There's so much that God has in store for us that it's going to be amazing. The golden nuggets that we're giving you right here today, you're going to be able to use them a massive way over the next 12 weeks. But after that, you'll never forget that God prepared you, your heart, your mind, and maybe your family to prepare for what's coming so we could weather the storm, so that when we come out that other end and we see that sun coming up in the morning and that sun never sets, that, my friends, is where we're headed. That is the golden age that Donald J. Trump talked about in his RNC speech. And he said, we're entering the golden age. Your expectations are too low. He said, you need to raise your expectations. So every day before I go to bed, we win. We win and God wins. That's it for this podcast right here. There's more to come, so I will see you when we pick it up again. So, folks, if you like my channel and you like the golden nuggets that we're delivering, please hit like and also subscribe. And also, you can comment anything that you want to say or questions that you have down in the comment section, and we'll reply to that. Thank you.